Every morning at exactly 7 o'clock a.m., people in the quiet neighborhood witnessed the same unbelievable scene. A tiny 6-year-old girl walking 5 massive German shepherds down the street like she owned the world. Some smiled, others recorded videos, but no one really knew who she was. Whispers spread. Who were those dogs? Where were her parents? And how could a little girl control them so perfectly? But no one knew the truth, because the little girl never answered. She just walked every single morning, same time, same route, same silent determination, until one day a passerby finally decided to follow her. And what he discovered left everyone stunned. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. The city was barely awake when soft footsteps echoed down Maple Street. Through the morning mist came a sight everyone had grown used to, yet could never quite explain. A little girl, no more than 6, walked calmly down the sidewalk wearing a bright pink coat. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't the coat. It was her companions. 5 full-grown German shepherds, leashes gripped loosely in her tiny hands, moved in perfect unison beside her like soldiers marching on command. No adult ever accompanied her. No one knew where she came from or where she went. Every morning, 7 o'clock a.m. sharp, she appeared, crossing the same streets, following the same path, then disappearing around the corner. Locals whispered stories. Some said she was the daughter of a trainer who died in service. Others claimed the dogs belonged to the police, but none could explain how a child so young could control 5 powerful shepherds with such calm authority. One morning, Mr. Harper, the old shopkeeper, tried to greet her. "Good morning, sweetheart." But before she could reply, the shepherds closed ranks, eyes locked on him with a protective stare that froze him in place. The girl said nothing. She simply tilted her head, gave a gentle whistle, and the dogs moved on. Soon people began filming her from their windows. Clips flooded social media. Some called her the dog princess. Others joked she was training a canine army, but beneath the jokes was growing unease. Because if you looked closely, the dogs weren't just walking with her, they were guarding her. Every few steps, one shepherd would glance behind, another would scan ahead. When a car passed too close, their muscles tensed, ready to strike. And the little girl never flinched, never smiled, never spoke. Just that same peaceful, almost haunted look in her eyes. A new resident named Ethan Cole watched from his balcony one morning. As a retired investigative journalist, nothing shocked him anymore. But something about this scene felt wrong. The dogs moved with surgical precision, one leading, one trailing, 2 flanking, one always closest to the girl like a silent bodyguard. That wasn't random behavior, that was training. One morning, curiosity got the better of him. He decided to follow them. They passed the bakery, the bookstore, the park, all familiar places, but then turned down a narrow side street toward the edge of town. Old houses lined the road, some boarded up, others abandoned. That's when Ethan noticed the dogs' demeanor changed. Their ears perked, steps slowed, formation tightened. The girl looked up briefly at the sky, whispered something, and the dogs instantly calmed. When they reached the last house on the block, she stopped. The house looked forgotten, paint peeling, fence broken, windows half covered with plastic. But the moment she stepped through the gate, the dogs' tension melted. They wagged their tails softly as if returning home. Ethan crouched behind a tree, heart pounding. From inside came faint barking. More dogs. It was a clear morning when everything changed. The little girl walked the same familiar route, her 5 shepherds beside her. But that morning, the dogs were restless, ears twitching, heads turning sharply. Then it happened. A loud roar echoed, a motorcycle speeding far too fast down the narrow street. The little girl froze, eyes wide. Before Ethan could shout a warning, the shepherds leapt into action. The largest one, the one with the scarred collar, lunged forward, placing himself directly between the girl and the oncoming bike. 2 others followed, forming a shield with their bodies. Tires screeched. The rider swerved. The bike missed them by inches before crashing into a trash bin. Ethan ran across the street. "Are you okay?" The dogs turned instantly, standing between him and the girl, teeth bared, just enough to warn him. The little girl crouched beside her lead dog, small hands trembling. "Shh, it's okay, Bravo, you did good." The name hit Ethan like a spark. Bravo. That wasn't a pet name. That was a service call sign. He took a careful step forward. "You should get home, kid." The girl finally looked up. Her eyes were a haunting mix of innocence, fear, and sorrow. "We're fine," she said softly. Then, noticing a small tear in her sleeve, she tugged it down quickly, hiding something beneath. For a moment, Ethan caught a glimpse, a faint mark on her arm, almost like an old burn or medical scar. Before he could ask, the dogs barked again, hurrying her away. Within seconds, she was gone. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. By dawn, he was back near the old house. Once the girl left for her walk, he circled around back. Inside a small shed, he found empty food bags, torn blankets, and worn-out leashes. Then he noticed a wooden crate in the corner, dust-coated but stenciled across it in faded black letters, K9 Unit, property of Metro Police. Ethan's heart hammered. These weren't ordinary dogs. They were retired police K9s. But how had a little girl ended up with 5 of them? The sky broke open that night. Wind howled, rain pounded, thunder rolled. Ethan sat by his window, staring at the storm. He couldn't stop thinking about the girl's voice. "They're all I have left." At 7:00 p.m., he glanced outside. The street was empty. No sign of the girl or her dogs. Then, through the rain, he saw it, the gate banging wildly, hanging open. His stomach dropped. He ran into the storm. Each step was a struggle against the wind. As he neared the house, he heard faint barking, desperate, muffled. He kicked the door. The frame gave way. From behind a broken couch, Bravo emerged, drenched and shaking, but instead of barking, he turned toward the hallway and whined, a sound Ethan had never heard from a German Shepherd before. It wasn't a warning. It was a plea. He followed the dog through the dark hall. Lightning lit up the corridor. And there she was, the little girl curled up beside 2 older dogs, clutching a flashlight that had died. Her pink coat was soaked, her lips pale. Ethan dropped beside her, checking her pulse, weak but steady. He wrapped his jacket around her. "It's okay, kid. You're safe now." His flashlight caught something, a framed photo lying face down on the floor. He turned it over. A man in a police uniform smiled back, standing proudly beside 5 German Shepherds. His nameplate read, "Officer Daniel Carter, K9 Unit." Ethan's breath caught. The resemblance was undeniable. She was his daughter. Thunder cracked outside. Ethan whispered, "Oh my God, she's his child." By morning, police cruisers and animal control rolled up to the old house. But when they stepped inside, what they found stopped them cold. Cages, dozens of them, not prison cages, clean ones, lined with blankets, some empty, some with injured shepherds resting inside, bandaged paws, stitched wounds, water bowls refilled. It wasn't a kennel, it was a sanctuary. "Dear Lord," the older officer whispered, "she's been taking care of them." In one corner, framed photos told the rest. Officers in uniform, K9 units, commendations. At the center, Officer Daniel Carter. Pinned beside it, a folded newspaper clipping. "Local K9 officer dies in line of duty." The officers fell silent. The truth hit them all at once. This wasn't neglect. This was legacy. When Ethan returned later, he found a wooden trapdoor behind a stack of boxes. He pulled it open. A staircase descended into darkness. What he found below took his breath away. The basement was a memorial. Walls lined with photos, badges, certificates. Shelves held medical supplies arranged neatly. In the center stood a large wooden box covered with a folded police flag. On top, a framed picture of Officer Daniel Carter beside his K9 unit, an inscription carved into the lid, "For the ones who never left his side." Behind him, footsteps echoed. The little girl stood at the bottom of the stairs holding Bravo's leash. Her eyes were red but calm. "I knew you'd come," she said softly. Ethan swallowed hard. "You shouldn't be here, sweetheart." She shook her head. "I had to stay. They get scared when it rains. My dad used to say thunder sounds like the battlefield." She walked to the box and placed her hand on it. "He used to take these dogs everywhere. When he didn't come back, they were sent away. But they didn't belong anywhere else. They kept running away until one night, Bravo found me again." Her voice trembled. "This was my dad's place. He treated injured K9s here, trained them, gave them homes. I just kept doing what he started." Ethan looked around. The medical tools, feeding charts, paw prints painted on the wall. You did all this by yourself? She nodded. He told me once, heroes don't always wear badges, sometimes they have paws. I promised I'd never leave them behind. Tears stung Ethan's eyes. You kept his promise better than anyone ever could. He whispered, the world needs to know your story. The girl shook her head. No, I don't want fame, I just want them safe. He nodded slowly. Then I'll make sure they are. You're not alone anymore. Above them, sunlight broke through the cracked window, casting a golden glow across the photo of Officer Carter and his loyal K-9s. By the next morning, the story had spread like wildfire. Reporters were back on Maple Street. But this time, they weren't looking for scandal. They were searching for a hero. Headlines read, 6-year-old girl carries on fallen officer's legacy. Donations flooded in. Officers from neighboring towns offered to help. That evening, the little girl stood in the courtyard, sunlight glinting off the metal pinned to her blanket. Police Chief Reynolds spoke. Today, we honor Officer Daniel Carter and the daughter who carried his mission farther than any of us could have imagined. The crowd erupted into cheers. The girl crouched beside her dogs, hugging each one. We did it, boys. Dad would be proud. Ethan knelt beside her. You know, you've got a whole town behind you now. What are you going to do next? She looked up, smile shy but full of quiet strength. I'm going to keep helping dogs like them, the ones nobody wants anymore. He chuckled. Then I guess we've got work to do. As they walked away together, the sun dipped lower, painting the world in gold. The dogs trotted ahead, their shadows stretching long across the pavement, 6 hearts beating with the same purpose, 6 souls bound by one legacy, because now everyone knew the truth. She wasn't just a child walking her dogs. She was the daughter of a hero, the keeper of a promise, and the heart of every loyal creature who'd ever waited for someone to come home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Because stories like this remind us that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear collars, and sometimes they're raised by angels in pink coats. Love, loyalty, and courage can change the world.